I'm about to share my secret YouTube ad strategy, which has allowed me to scale e-commerce brands like these up to $288,000 and more every 90 days in revenue, or around $67,000 every single month in revenue. Before we dive deep into the Google Ads strategy, let's first look over the results of some of the YouTube ad campaigns which we have going on for this e-commerce brand. And this is actually an e-commerce brand which started out with dropshipping, but after they found initial success, they changed it into an actual e-commerce model when they have in-stock products and everything gets shipped from a warehouse within the United States. The interesting thing about this e-commerce brand is they came to us and started working with us late last month of July. I'm recording this video on August the 4th, and during this time period, their sales had started to actually go down, and it's very visible if you look at it on a very broad level of the last 90 days. If we compare it to the previous year, we can see their overall results had actually started to greatly crumble and go downwards. I mean, one of the major reasons is because their main peak season is May, June, July, and then after July is when things start to taper off. Basically, this drop was very drastic. It was much greater drop than what they had faced before, a 51% drop. So that's why they came to us under my Google Ads agency and we started working with them. But if you look right here, from this point onward, about July 23rd, July 24th is when our YouTube ad campaigns really took off. Our changes to their campaigns took off, and that's when results are kind of on the upward trend. If we now look at the last 7 days worth of results, we can see sales are up 26%. Looking at the Google Ads results, we have 3 different YouTube ad campaigns running and 3 other types of campaigns running within this ad account. And the interesting thing is YouTube is by far outperforming and basically getting much more revenue than any of these other campaigns, including the second Performance Max campaign. Now, this PMax campaign is running at a 3.21x ROAS because of the changes we have done, because of the strategies we have implemented. But I really want to focus on these YouTube ad campaigns. The one at the very top, it's the basic cold traffic YouTube ads campaign. And if we look at the overall results within the last 14 days, it has started to go down a bit, but that's just how YouTube ad campaigns work. Overall, this campaign is actually very profitable because this brand's break-even ROAS is around a 1.5x. Now, this e-commerce brand sells garden related products. That's why the main peak season is June and July. But products such as garden chairs, garden accessories, patio covers, full on outdoor niche that does well during this time period. And the reason why the YouTube ad campaigns really worked well for this e-commerce brand is because of the creatives that were able to be created for that given product. It's completely different from Facebook ad campaigns or TikTok ad campaigns, and that is because they have different kind of users browsing that platform. On Facebook, you're most likely just kind of scrolling in your free time. You're not really looking at any videos which have gathered your attention, and you're just looking for the next kind of dopamine hit and just to see something that makes you want to interact with it. Same thing with TikTok. You're mindlessly scrolling through and you just so happen to see a video ad by another advertiser which catches your attention. Unlike these platforms, on YouTube, you go on there to watch something specific. You're either on there for entertainment purposes. You're not really in the mood to be disturbed on YouTube. That's the biggest kind of difference between YouTube and these other video ad related platforms. And because of that, 95% of people on YouTube have this tendency to just click on skip ad. And when you kind of add on top of those things such as limited targeting for the audiences with YouTube ad campaigns, that's when really the biggest difference comes about with YouTube ad campaigns. Let's now dive deep into each of these ad campaigns to understand their overall setup, their creatives, and why it's so successful. So this first YouTube ad campaign, it is a campaign which is for cold traffic only. And if we look at how long this campaign has been running, we can see that it has actually been running for quite some time now, way before we actually started working with this e-commerce brand as well. But overall, the results have been on an upward and downward trend, both because of new competition, but also because of saturation of the video itself, which by the way is a very big issue with YouTube ad, which we'll get to very shortly. But if you look right here, the targeting that we have done here, essentially that was done for this YouTube campaign, is very broad targeting. It's just targeting 55 and above individuals, both males and females, and it's a very broad ad. I mean, if we go on over to the audiences, you'll be able to see that there's very little interest targeting done. In fact, the targeting that is done, it's done to be extremely broad. Why? Because there is no specific targeting that you could do that will get get this ad to the right audience segment. So essentially, there was no audiences chosen in terms of the individual interest targeting or any types of other lookalike audiences, etc. Only the age group was chosen, which actually is not 55 and above. That's just the name of the ad group. It's actually 35 and above. Despite being such a broad campaign, it has continuously performed well, and that is mainly because of the video creative. Now, you're not going to be able to see the video creative for security reasons, but if we look at the total number of video creatives inside this individual campaign, there's a total of 9 different creatives. If we look at which creatives are getting the most amount of revenue and are getting the most amount of attention, it's this first creative right here. The second creative barely got 1 sale. But if we look now at the overall metrics, this is what you want to really be focusing on. Things such as the overall click-through rate for that given video asset, or maybe things such as what is the average view duration. So these are things which you can actually add. If you click right here, Google actually gives you these options. You can look at views, you can look at audience segment, branding, conversion, etc. I do recommend you look at all of these, but nonetheless, the way that YouTube ads really work and the ideal strategy is to have a creative which is less than 1 minute long. All of these creatives right here are all less than 1 minute long, and the main creatives that are really performing the best are those creatives where it's showing the product in action. So the video itself is just somebody showing how their legs are in pain or how their arms are in pain, and then this product comes into play, and this product basically saves their life. If you look at the overall metrics, it's not the best level in terms of the view rate, like 25%, only 8% of the audience really viewed it, then 50%, only 3%, so on and so forth, but it still works. And the key to really making and finding that winning video asset is to have multiple video assets within your YouTube ad campaign. You need to be testing different video assets. You need to be testing different kinds of ad copy itself. Some of the things which we have seen really work the best in terms of the video assets include video assets where there's products where a demonstration is getting shown, or maybe products where the effects of that product are shown. Like for example, in this first video asset, we showed the effects of that product, how it can save people from their pains and troubles. Or also the third ad copy which works the best, the third asset, is basically emotional products or videos which induce some kind of emotion. It doesn't matter what kind of budget you set, it doesn't matter even what bidding strategy you have. If your video asset is not doing justice to your product, it's not going to sell, period. But that doesn't mean that you should just completely not pay attention to what you have done in terms of the settings. Now, if we go on over to settings, we can get a better idea of how everything was laid out here. So if we go on to the campaign level settings, in terms of settings, again, everything is very broad. Overall, we have chosen to not set up any types of interest targeting or anything specific that would really narrow this campaign down. So for networks, we actually have chosen both YouTube as well as video partners, and believe it or not, it's still performing really well for locations, only targeting one specific country. For bid strategy, we are on maximize conversions, and that is what is performing the best. Now, if we look right here, devices, all eligible devices and everything else, even video enhancements is chosen. So we have left this as broad as possible. With YouTube, you just don't know which audience will interact with your ads the best way, especially if you're in a very broad niche like this one where it's in the gardening niche. That's just one YouTube ad campaign. If we now look at the other campaigns, it's also performing with very similar kind of assets with very similar settings. This one is just a new YouTube campaign which we just launched to basically revive everything, and if we look right here, it's running at a 2.43x ROAS. And again, very similar ad strategy here in terms of the assets. We're just using that same ad copy which was working in the previous campaign, and here it's actually working even better, running at a $12 cost per sale. If we now go back and look at the overall audiences, again, very similar layout here. We are starting to test a few more things just to get a better idea. Like for example, we added certain retargeting audiences here to really give this campaign more direction, so it's not just blindly going out and trying to target random people. And we also added some more DIYers like home and garden do-it-yourselfers, and it is starting to show some results. We're getting sales for this first one at least, but again, we're just testing different audiences out at this point, because when you find that winning YouTube ad copy, that's when you want to now go out and find those winning audiences which can really help you scale not only that video ad but also multiple video ads to the next level. But here we're keeping all of the settings the same, very broad, targeting video partners. We're also on maximize conversions. But the third and final YouTube ad we have have going on is the cart abandoners YouTube ad campaign. Again, we're applying a very similar strategy here, but instead of making this only for cold traffic, we have targeted this for that retargeting cart abandoners audience. And in terms of the video ad itself, again, it's the same exact one, but the only thing that has changed is the ad copy itself. The video is the same, just the ad copy. We're talking about how many happy customers there are and what's gonna be the benefit if you use this product, etc. Settings overall, again, very similar to what we already have going on. There's nothing different going on in that situation. But again, if you're doing $40,000 or more per month in revenue, you need just a little bit of extra help scaling your brand to the next level. Go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me to see if we can potentially work together and scale your brand with Google.